The Honkai story is one of the few things that was for the most part well regarded within the community. But what happens when that wasn't the case? The Moon Arc, when it came out, was a phenomenon. It quickly became the most divisive topic, spawning countless debates. This was understandable by virtue of it being the finale. Naturally, the expectation leading into it would be higher, so when it wasn't met, the whole thing has the potential to light the community on fire. Nowadays, roughly 1.5 years since, people may have moved on. The game has moved on. But I will move on soon, as I want to look back at how it all went down. So join me today as I pick apart the decisions the story took that led to it being so divisive, and why it may or may not have worked given the expectation people had going into it. So, the initial state of things heading into the Moon Arc was as follows. May resigned from the World Serpent after an above-average game of Among Us, which see her gain key power and knowledge that would prove useful in the coming crisis. On the other side, Kiana and her friends took over Shixo and installed Teresa as its head. But before any of them can do much, Kevin caught all of them off guard by executing his crown project, Project Stigma. To put it simply, the process of melding people into a hive mind called the spiritual atom. In this way, the human race would be transformed into an unkillable, immortal entity, which in Kevin's mind would be considered as fulfilling his lifelong goal of beating the Honkai. This was done by dream-catching people courtesy of Miston in order to put them into a dream space where they are immersed in a utopia. They are either converted into raw materials to make the atom or take their place in the hive mind. The point of contention is whether you consider this as ending the individual and by extension the human race, cause you can't really say they are dead when their minds are still part of the collective. Or can you? And that's the theme of the arc, a clash of ideals between the current era and a relic of the old. Yet, one could say that it's rather the current era who's stuck in the old-fashioned thinking, as the other seeks to move past it, condensed into a philosophical discussion on why birds fly. Because it's the destiny they carved out for themselves, or because it's what's necessary to survive. It's an intriguing setup, so where do the issues begin? The story begins slowly, with our characters being separated into pockets as they spent that time linking up while learning about what was happening. Once the scattered groups organized, the trio was sent to take down Kevin. Along the way, they were met by Miston, who wasn't there to fight, but to give them a tour and some exposition. Playing through this sequence for the first time felt like just trying to stall for time, cause mind you, people were still going through the conversion process as they speak, so I was expecting the trio to be in more of a hurry, but I guess they needed that intel, which did prove useful down the line. Anyhow, now finding themselves before Kevin, the trio got beaten bad. But before Kevin could finish the job, Fuhua comes in with the second eruption classic, the black hole trick, stalling Kevin for the rest to escape. But then Miston appears and took the trio away to do God knows what to them. Fortunately, it was another tour, this time through the core of reason, but its conclusion was a bit less peaceful, as it led to a duel between Bronya and Miston over the custody of her core, where Bronya successfully ascended into a true Herrscher of Reason to tip the fight in her favor. Bronya questioned Miston about why he seemed to be helping the trio become stronger, but she denies it and leaves. Are you starting to see a pattern here? Realizing that going against Kevin head-on wasn't good enough, the heroes turned to guerrilla warfare, focusing on weakening the project's influence, slowing down the formation of the spiritual atom and by proxy Kevin, only striking when he's been weakened enough. They plan to achieve this in 3 phases: reclaiming Earth to weaken the project, explore the origin to use it to find the cocoon, and finally, stealing some finality, no pun intended, which Kevin also successfully stolen to make this project possible. He stole it from the cocoon. What's the cocoon? The source of our Honkai. The thing that's sending all these Hershers to go get the humans, or more accurately, nudging them into embracing the Honkai, so they become something similar to itself, which they have been doing in a very inefficient way. But point is, if you can make someone look like a great candidate for this, that person would then be able to wield the power of finality. At this point, you may have noticed the reaction or lack thereof from the World Serpent on a group that's actively sabotaging their efforts, even helping them in some cases. choices, directly and indirectly. I'm looking at you, mister. It's not like they didn't know. They did, they just didn't do anything about it. In fact, Kevin has said on multiple occasions that he wanted them to prove to him that they were more worthy to carry on the torch and is willing to give them time to organize their effort to take him down. Basically, sitting around like some RPG bosses waiting to be challenged by the heroes. This was what the story was building towards. A great confrontation of ideals, with one side ultimately proving the other wrong. But it is where things fall apart narratively in my opinion. To put it simply, the World Serpents were playing to lose. They let the heroes do whatever they want and barely put up a serious resistance, with the person who put up the most resistance besides Kevin being Great Serpent. Maybe not a person, but you get the idea. It didn't feel like there was enough tension that made me stay on the edge of my seat. The race against the clock wasn't felt that well. There also wasn't a clear threat actively hunting our heroes down or impeding their progress. Most that tried to get in their way turned out to have been helping them or just wasn't that into stopping them in the first place, whether they know it or not. It's like they're also not into it also. A far cry from a bunch of fanatics that the World Serpent had been depicted as up to this point. This isn't much of an issue as this arc was about what Kevin believed anyway. You could also look at it from another angle, like the heroes proving themselves so well they gain sympathy from the opposition, like passing a trial or earning the respect, especially when some of them shared a bond with the other side. You can see it when Raven changed her tone quite a bit after trying to block May from getting to the origin. We'll get to this part in a bit, but this next thing was what I think broke the story. Hyperion, Chrono Navi, Big Aishan, or whatever you call her, was introduced as an ally early into the story. She's been helping us from pretty much the get-go with our guidance. Turns out us, the players, had just been introduced as the one above in the world structure, who had been guiding the girls to the future and helping them along the way. This time, a lot more actively. She, and by proxy, us, the players, became a Deus Ex Machina, an overly convenient plot device. In the story, she usually appears when our heroes run into a problem, giving them the solutions or just solving it for them. Let me make things very clear that it is very likely our heroes could have still pulled through all the obstacles without our help, albeit slower. We're just speeding up the process, as Hyperion puts it. But we need to understand that in telling a story, especially for an interactive medium like a video game, what is shown carries more weight than what is said. Hyperion's contribution as a plot device diminishes the characters' victories and accomplishments. It made them feel less earned. Think back to when Kiana overcame her challenges with her sheer power and determination, when she refused to let Fuhua sacrifice herself during Shattered Samsara, when she beat up the Herrscher of Domination by channeling all that was behind her to save her friends from the bastard. Even Otto, which you all know how much I love to hate on the guy, but that spoke Apocalypse was pretty lit. These moments are satisfying because the characters overcame their obstacles with their own hands. Can you say that a character that got introduced literally in the same arc, that conveniently came into existence with a convenient ability to pull off a miracle to allow the heroes to sidestep many major obstacles, comes close to pulling off any of these moments I've mentioned? In terms of satisfaction and accomplishment, I don't think so. And nowhere can this be more true than the final fight against Kevin. In the finale, Kevin created a massive shield that would have took our heroes quite a while to break through. Maybe give them one of these and see how that shield holds up. Hyperion then comes in and helps the Valkyries by using everyone's blessing, and I mean everyone, as it starts from the game's characters, which was a non-issue, just your usual power of friendship, but then it leads to us, or the players, ganging up on him. When one side bests the other in this clash of ideals the entire arc was building towards in such a way, was it because they won due to their belief in their idea of fighting for your own destiny? Or because a higher entity happened to agree with them and lended them a hand? I don't hate what went down here. On paper, it's a nice sentiment. They appreciated us so much, they wanted us to be included right there helping our beloved Valkyries. I don't think it's done because they were lazy or didn't care enough. It is because they cared so much, and it's something that should be acknowledged when we talk about how Hyperion impacted the story. That being said, Honkai is a grounded game that takes itself very seriously when the situation demands it. And for the struggles and obstacles being concluded with the inclusion of Hyperion made it immersion breaking. Not to mention the story implications like, so do we exist or not? Why hasn't this come up before? Are we gonna appear again? Or would we intervene if the Valkyries were faced with yet another great crisis, like the Sky People perhaps? Or I don't know, someone dying? If you enjoyed the moments despite all the issues I've raised in the video, that's completely fine. Your opinion is not wrong, nor is it a wrong outlook on the story. I'm only here today to look at how it went down and laying down what I think about it. I hope this was thought-provoking and enjoyable. And if you have your own thoughts on the finale, you can leave it down below. Moral of the story? It doesn't matter if you have the power of God and anime on your side when you get jumped by the entire player base. Thanks for watching.